Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Shrewsbury Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right and/or requirement to attend can be found on the town's website, www.shrewsburymass.gov/coronavirus. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen or watch the meeting may do so by visiting www.shrewsburymediaconnection.org. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. To participate in the public comment portion of this meeting, dial 1-318-485-8469 and enter the following PIN, 426-836-075*. Please mute your device until I address your agenda item or open the meeting to the public. As a preliminary matter, this is Ron Rosen. I'm the chair of the ZBA. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Paul George? Paul, are you here? Okay. Lisa Cassette?
Here.
Peter Mulcahy?
Here.
Mary Beth Lynch?
Here.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Bernie Cahill?
Here.
Kristen Rapolo?
Here.
Idis Rudis?
Here.
Kristen Lass?
Present.
Is anybody, other staff members here? Okay.
Ron, I'm here. Stephen Medaus.
Oh,
Town.
okay.
Thank you.
Your last name on that always fools me. Good evening. This open meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Zoning Board of Appeals is convening by Google Hangouts, is posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note the meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and that take care not to screen share your computer unless asked by the chair or the staff person. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. I will introduce each board, which I've already done. All votes will be taken by roll call. Just as a matter of course, I will read each appeal into the record. I will then have the applicant or the representative tell us what they want, why they want it. If you are here for a special permit, the threshold is that what you are doing can't be more detrimental than the existing condition. If you're here for a variance, it is incumbent upon you to provide us with a hardship for that variance. A hardship typically would be either the shape, size, topography of the underlying land for which you are applying for that variance. First order of business before we get to the public meetings, we have a few bills, actually just one bill, for $679 to the Worcester Telegram and Gazette for the June 29th, 2020 legal notices. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve?
Can I get a second?
Seconded?
All in favor of actually, we only need 3 assents. Chair votes to approve. Mary Beth
Aye.
and Peter.
Aye.
Okay, first order of business is continued hearing from August 11th, 2020, 27 General Ave, Jessica Zorge. Pardon me if I don't say your name properly. That's a use variance, section 6, table 1 for wildlife rehabilitation, and a variance, section 7, table 2 for a rear yard setback. Is Ms. Zorge here or her representative?
Mr. Chairman, Richard Ricker, I represent Ms. Zorge. She's also with us. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Richard Ricker. I'm an attorney with offices at 11 Maple Avenue in Shrewsbury. I'm here representing Jessica Zorge, who grew up in Shrewsbury, went to Shrewsbury schools. She's an Iraq veteran, and she is a wildlife rehabilitator by hobby. And for that reason, I will, if it's all right with you, Mr. Chairman, I will address the particular variance request for a use variance second. The first issue, however, is the placement of a shed, which is commonly called a cage, but it's called a mews for wildlife rehabilitation. It's for her specialty is raptors, birds of prey. She is one of 10 people in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts who is actually federally licensed to save basically and rehabilitate raptors, birds of prey. There are 200 licensed rehabilitators in Massachusetts, but she's one of 10 who is specialized for raptors, specialized licensing. She has a federal permit and a Massachusetts Division of Fishery and Wildlife permit as well. This structure is simply put, it's like a shed, but it's actually as I say, it's a mews. It's 4 walls. The structure is 12.2 by 24 feet long. Because of the size of the structure and because of, and this structure is, I should say, I should point out that this structure is per the guidelines and requirements of federal licensing for raptors. This is a special mews. It is intended to meet the regulations of the federal government relative to the housing temporarily of raptors for rehabilitation and for saving purposes. She has been involved, as you will note from the many letters in your files, in many saving events for various wildlife, mostly birds in town. This lot that number 27 is on is only 100 by 100. So you can imagine that the 40-foot setback and the rear setback pushes the shed towards the front of the lot, such that the shed actually has to sit in the front of the lot. Now, this is obviously not a great situation. This is one of the 2 smallest lots in the neighborhood down there. But what's unique about this lot is that it has a large amount of town of Shrewsbury. It's called recreational land, but it's woods and wetlands to the rear. So although she has this small lot, it's somewhat unique because she has this large area to the rear, which she will not be bothering by impacting the rear yard setback, in as much as there's frankly nothing back there but wildlife. So I would suggest to you, she has that hardship of being the size and shape of the lot. And she has, and it is incidental to this lot. This lot is also unique in that respect, as I just discussed. I would suggest respectfully, there's no derogation from the bylaw. This is actually better if we push this shed back on the lot, because it's more compatible with the neighborhood. It keeps it out of the front yard. If it's allowed to be back as it's shown on the plan, 28.2 feet from the rear lot line, I would suggest to you it poses no nuisance or unsightliness or noise or any other of those factors that we need to concern ourselves with respect to this request for variance. So that is basically the background relative to the dimensional variance that she's requested. Now, you may know, I'm sure do know that I was not involved in until recently in trying to assist her. And when I did get involved, I was trying to put a square plug in a round hole, and frankly, it wasn't fitting relative to a use variance request. So after considerable research of various types of research, and after considerable discussion, finally, I, in conversation in a conference with town council, actually, we agreed, I believe, and he is with us tonight. We agreed that that this is more fitting to ask for a special permit for her use under the recreational category in the use regulation schedule. In as much as this is non-commercial, it's open air recreation use, and it allows storage uses as part of the overall category. And so frankly, this is more in keeping with what she has asked for right along. I think that this basically I think the category is vague enough that this actually fits in quite nicely. And I would suggest to you that this is, obviously you have a number of letters from various officials and various parties. You have, I believe, 9 letters from neighbors supporting her. She has given you letters from various wildlife, fisheries and wildlife people, federal people, animal control officers. I think you have letters from at least 2 animal control officers, 1 former and 1 present. She has assisted in various ways in policing in Shrewsbury, as well as in the animal control category in Shrewsbury. What she is doing is a public service, although it's a hobby. It is a necessary public service, and it is something that I suggest to you respectfully, she deserves a lot of credit for. This particular, you have letters from Tufts Wildlife Clinic, you have Cape Wildlife Center, Mass Audubon, a veterinarian, Northeastern University professor, Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife people, at least 2 people there. I would point out to you that, and she wants you to know that raptors generally are not vocal. What she would be doing is she would be bringing in an injured bird, probably very temporarily, if she couldn't bring it directly over to, say, Cummings School at Tufts or something like that. So unless they are in distress, they really are not a vocal creature. This is very important because I think that this illustrates that there is not going to be a nuisance here. She's actually been doing this for a number of years. As I say, I think she's been doing it. She can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she's been doing it in town for about 8 years. It also aids in education because occasionally when she has a raptor that is healthy enough for her to take to a school or to a gathering with pupils, then she's done that. And as I said, I believe that respectfully, this is a essential governmental function, frankly, that she's doing. And she's doing it voluntarily. She's doing it as a hobby. She does it at no cost to the town or to the state. And she does it of her own volition and at her own expense. So with that, I would be happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, yeah, this was advertised as a use variance. In the past, when something's been advertised as a variance and we determine at the meeting that it is a special permit is only required, we have downgraded the variance request to a special permit. We've done that numerous times. I would like to do that unless anyone on the board objects. Thinking that it's been advertised for a higher threshold. Obviously, you can't go the other way from a special permit to a variance. But like I said, we've done it in the past. I checked with Patty, the building inspector. She also confirms that that is true. So as such, I don't have any other questions. I will acknowledge all the letters of support. The ones I really were concerned about were the ones from the neighbors.
Yes.
You know, to me, those were the most important ones to receive. That being said, I will turn it over. Mr. George, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions at this time. The only question I have is the variance for the rear yard setback.
Yes.
And I was wondering how far back that would be from the rear lot line.
It would be 28.2 feet, if I could, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And like you said, the rear is town-owned recreation land.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Ms. Cassette?
So I have a question about the setback variance, and then I do have questions regarding the other request, but do we need to make a motion to consider that as a special permit before I ask my questions about that?
That'd be a good idea. Yeah.
So what I can do, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, we could stick to just the setback variance, and I could, since Mr. George went ahead and asked a question, I can just ask that, and then maybe we could take another round after that motion.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Ricker. I would like a little bit more explanation on the size and shape of the lot being the hardship for the placement of the muse. If you could just elaborate a little bit more or
Sure.
repeat.
Sure. You know, this lot is, it is very peculiar in town. Can you see this?
Richard, I could present it to the board if you would like.
If you can see this, then you can see that the lot itself is one of the smallest in that neighborhood. It's only 100 by 100 feet, and you have a 24-foot long shed here. So if you have a 40-foot setback in the rear of the property, that pushes this 24-foot shed almost into the front yard, Lisa. That's my point. So it is a hardship because you only have that 100 by 100 lot. Now, you know, some people say, well, the 100 by 100 lot is not a problem, but it is when you have a 40-foot rear yard setback and you have a structure that is basically designed to meet federal standards for this particular use. That's 24 feet long. So
Yep, that's great. I just needed it rephrased, I guess, to understand it clearly. Thank you. Got it.
thank you.
Mr. Mulcahy?
Sure. And so sticking again to the dimensional variance, I agree with council. I think in this circumstance, I think what the hardship is in a way is the fact that you're requiring a 40-foot setback where the lot behind is not developable, is town land, is wide open, doesn't have anybody on it to be bothered. And so I think the intent of the bylaw is not in any way derogated by allowing it to go further back. So that's my current position.
Ms. Lynch?
Nope, no comments.
Okay. Can I get a motion to modify the use variance to a special permit for recreational use.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
do you mind if I, it's my opinion that you can't grant relief that hasn't been applied for. And he hasn't applied for the special permit.
we have done this numerous times in the past, where people have applied for variances, and at the hearing, it was determined they didn't need a variance. And we have then heard a special permit. It's downgrading, it's not misleading to anybody that's here, because they're here for something with a higher hurdle.
Okay.
Sort of a lesser included relief.
There are different sections in 40A, right? I mean, section 9 and section 10, different advertising requirements, different standards for issuing. But if you're going to do that, you should at least,
It's all tougher standard for the variance than it is for the special permit.
yeah, and it's different. Not only one's discretionary, the other's the strict statutory standard. But you should at least get the request to withdraw the application for the use variance, so it's not left undecided.
And I will make that request. Mr. Chairman, thank you, Attorney Beddoes.
And if I may, Mr. Rosen, I believe that in cases where it had been in question, we had asked the applicant to apply for both the special permit and a variance. My recollection is we had not done this in the past for the years that I have staffed the ZBA or been involved. I agree with Mr. Beddoes that the special permit has not been applied for. The use variance was for a coop or kennel. What Mr. Ricker is stating is for some sort of recreational use associated with this. And we have spoken with other staff about the need for a special permit to be submitted and applied for under the state standards.
Like I said, this has never come up before. We've done this numerous times in the last couple of years even. I believe Bernie has sat in on meetings when this has happened. I believe Idis has sat in on staff meetings when this has happened, where it has been downgraded right at the meeting. And again, this thing has been a debacle from day one, and I really don't want to make the applicant wait another 30 days. I think this could be done administratively right here and now, and I think we should do it. And I don't see the issue.
Mr. Chairman, I also second that we should move forward and go forward with the special permit. It has been done in the past, as
Okay.
long as I've been on the board.
I wonder, Mr. Chairman, is it up to the applicant whether they want to sort of proceed at their own risk based on what town council is saying? And then perhaps we can pursue it on that basis?
Attorney Ricker?
I think in light of the fact, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, that essentially all the neighbors have joined her in this quest to get this allowed. They've all written letters. Certainly, we would ask you to allow us to withdraw the request for a use variance and to allow us a special permit for the recreational use that I have described. I will point out that even though the use variance was categorized as a use variance, whether it's a coop or a shed or mews, it was still essentially the same request. We were asking to use essentially the same type of structure for the rehabilitation of raptors. So thank you, Mr. Mulcahy.
May I speak, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
So in preparing for this hearing, I didn't think it would take this turn, but I did go through the zoning bylaw, and yes, I looked at it as if this way, what would be allowed by special permit in the residential B1 district, and yes, came across the recreation use, accessory use, but I do have to say I had reservations about that. So even if we go forward and switch this, downgrade it to a special permit, I hope the appellant is aware that now we will be making a decision based on that and there could very well be issues. And I'll just say, I see that bylaw as having to do with things that do not involve a structure, and it's more open areas. So I just want to put that out before we make a decision, or the appellant makes a decision.
And Mr. Chair, if I might,
Yeah.
this is sort of related to Ms. Cozette's point. When I went through the tables, rather than the open air recreation special permit possibility in Residence B1, what jumped out at me is the one that appears 2 above that on the same page, that allows farming and horticulture, including raising, harvesting, and storing crops, truck gardening, grazing, and poultry raising. Obviously, raptors aren't exactly poultry, but I think this falls under, I mean, if you can.
I think the difference there would be domestic animals versus wildlife.
Right, I guess I would suggest that, you know, if anything, I think raptors being contained in a structure is less burdensome than chickens running free in somebody's yard, which would be allowed by special permit in that zoning district. So that's just wanted to offer sort of another perspective on the special permit aspect.
So
Okay.
one more comment, Mr. Chairman. So because of just the 2 things we just talked about, to town council's point and to Ms. Lass's point, this is now going to be a request for special permit. So maybe some extra due diligence. I know it's been 30 days, but the appellant may choose to have some more time or not. So I just really want to go back to the appellant to see what she would like to do.
Attorney Ricker?
I can tell you that I'm comfortable in saying that I've gone through this bylaw. I've reviewed it. Town council and I both reviewed this section, and I think we agree that it's vague enough, and that this will fit within that category. And I think obviously we struggled. I struggled for the last 2 weeks that I've been involved in this thing, trying to figure out what the heck a use variance was being asked for. And I think, although I understand Ms. Cassette's comments about the open space aspect of this, I think that storage uses are allowed in this recreational category. We're essentially storing wildlife, not domestic. The problem with our bylaw with respect to this particular use is that if it is not allowed, it is prohibited under Section 5. So, you know, we try to determine what best fits here. And in as much as this is non-commercial, it is a hobby of hers. She does it for no compensation whatsoever. She does it to help out the town of Shrewsbury, as well as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the federal government, and veterinary school in Grafton. It is indeed her recreation. It's what she does in her off hours. So it fits. And I think it fits better than anything else in our bylaw, frankly. So we're comfortable with going forward on a special permit basis. I think that we really have no choice. There's no other categories here that really fit this this square peg in the round hole, as I said before.
I agree.
I would also say that we can put conditions on a special permit that we can't put on with the use variance.
Yes.
I will suggest.
Yes.
So in that case, I went through the whole board. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, does the appellant have to first withdraw the use variance officially?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you did. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So I make a motion to accept a application for special permit for 27 General Avenue.
For recreational use as stipulated. Can I get a second?
Second?
Mr. George? How do you vote?
Affirmative.
Ms. Cassette?
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Second round, Mr. George, do you have any questions on the special permit?
None at this time.
Okay, the only thing I'm going to say, Attorney Ricker, would you be okay with if we do a 3-year provision on this, the time limit, just to
Sure.
see how things are with noise, with neighbors and things like that? Is that,
I discussed that with my client, that was a distinct possibility in light of the nature of the request, and we wouldn't have any problem with that at all.
okay? And what I would suggest is at the end of 3 years, if there are no complaints, we would probably then sunset it with Ms. Zorge's ownership of the property. If that,
As a special permit, that's appropriate anyway, yes.
Yeah. Ms. Cassette, any questions regarding special permit?
So I'm unmuted. I just want to clarify, because this wasn't given to us as a special permit, so I'm just looking at the zoning bylaw. So this would be special permit for recreation, including golf courses, ski runs, parks, but not an amusement park, boating, commercial or club fishing and hunting where legally permitted, and any non-commercial open air recreation use. Storage uses shall be located subject to the same provisions which apply to farm buildings. And if I just go down to that,
That's, yeah.
I'm
Three.
getting there. If I could, oh Lord. I went too far. Sorry.
It essentially goes to the nuisance.
Which page? Can you tell me? Are you?
I have page 37.
Went way too far.
It essentially goes
Thank
to
you.
nuisance aspects of these. You know, no exterior storage, no noise, vibration, smoke, dust, etc. There's no public display of goods or wares, and there is adequate off-street parking. Well, we're not worried.
Worry about that.
Right.
Yes, and this Muse structure would provide all of those things. So, okay, thank you. I might have had one more question.
If I could also note to the board, Mr. Chair, that this structure does not have electricity, so there are no lights associated with it.
Okay.
I did have one question, I'm sorry, about the operation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the appellant is present with us, but
She is.
okay, great. So I understand that this is, I wouldn't say a hobby, this is a passion and done on her during volunteer time outside of her full-time job. When the raptors are within the shed and she is not on the property, what is done to keep the raptors within the shed and protected from others, let's say? Just want to understand the business a little bit more when she's not on the premises.
Hi.
Hi.
So when I'm not on the premises, each of those chambers has a padlock, so no one can get into those areas except for me. Each bird will have 2. So there's a double doorway system that will be secured with two locks. There's really nothing that I'd be doing differently whether I was home or not. They'd be receiving food and then left alone to recover. So there's no special things that are being done while they're in that cage. It's
Okay,
more leaving them very.
I'm sorry. It says if you were just within your home and they're left in the Muse. It's no different than.
Correct.
You're
Yep.
not
We're
being
just
on
very
the
hands off, limited human contact, and just letting them recover in that space. They're provided food and water, weighed in that cage usually once a week to make sure if they're maintaining or losing any of their body weight. If I have to catch them up and take them back to the clinic for a recheck, that's where that would occur in that cage too. But other than that, it's very hands off to give them the time that they need.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Mulcahy?
No, I think Council answered my questions in terms of noise was my main concern, but it sounds like that's not an issue. As far as the condition, one other thought, I think we should make it 3 years or the changing of ownership of the property.
Well, it would automatically sunset if she changes ownership.
Okay, great. So,
That would not automatically be a stipulation.
It's a special
Okay.
permit.
Yeah.
right.
That's it.
All right. Okay, fair enough. All right. So nothing further then.
Okay, and then the only other question is, how many birds at a time can this take?
So normally that space can hold up to 4, but it most likely would not be that many. Usually the times you'd see it the busiest is in the winter time when something's injured and maybe has missed migration, would have the walls can pull out in the middle. So it might be 1 bird in that space or maybe 2.
Okay.
There are 4 compartments, but those walls are easily able to be pulled out to accommodate whether it's a great horned or a barred or screech, but it would be no more than 4 at a time.
Okay,
And she's talking about
any questions?
Ron, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Mrs. George, can you, or Ms. George, can you just give us an idea of what the hours of operation will be?
Sure. So I don't have any set operational hours. I do work full time. So most of the calls that I do receive are after 5 p.m. And if it is a member of the public, I meet them usually at the library or at the police department and bring the bird back. I don't like people coming to the property that I don't know. If it is an agency like environmental police or mass wildlife, they are welcome to come. So it might be 1 car a week. And I don't know at what time they might find something injured, but usually if it is members of the public, it would be not here at the house where any of that traffic would be occurring.
Okay. Mr. Attorney Ricker, you were about to say something?
No, I think she's answered that adequately.
Okay, I believe there's about 60 people here that I'm assuming most are here in support, so I don't have to go through the list of everyone. I will acknowledge that. The only question, is there anyone here that wishes to be heard that is opposed to this? If I may, if any, please, if you are, please let either someone on the staff know that you wish to be heard. Either Adis Rudis or Bernie Cahill, to allow us to hear you.
And I would like to remind the board and to any of those in attendance that if you wish to unmute yourself, it is *6.
Okay. And at this point, like I said, I will acknowledge that you are all here in support. And in the interest of time, I will stipulate that that's why you are all here. Again, is there anyone here that is opposed to this application, either in any manner? Okay, there being no further questions or comments, we will take this under advisement and you will be notified of our decision. Board, can I, discussion. Like I said, we'll put a 3-year time limit. If Ms. Zord sells the property before 3-year time limit, obviously the permit would expire. Anyone else have any comments, questions, issues? Mr. George?
Maybe one of the, that the unit should be locked at all times.
Yeah, okay.
So no one has access to it.
Yep. Okay,
That's all I have.
put that as a condition, Idis, please. Ms. Cassette?
I have nothing further. I'm in favor.
Okay. Ms. Lynch?
Nothing. I'm in favor.
Mr. Mulcahy?
Nothing further. Also in favor.
Okay, so can I get a motion for the dimensional variance?
Move to approve.
Can I get a
Mr.
sec-
Rosen, have you closed both public hearings?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Vote, Mr. George.
Move to approve.
No, I need your vote. It's already been
Aye.
for the dimensional variance.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Cassette,
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy,
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, dimensional variance is approved unanimously. Can I get a motion for the special permit?
Move to approve on the special permit?
As conditioned with the 3-year time limits, must be locked at all times, and it would expire with Mrs. Orge's ownership of the property. Can I get a second?
Second?
Okay, Mr. George, how do you vote?
Aye, in the affirmative.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Cassette?
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy?
Aye.
And the chair also votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Next is to hear the appeal of Eugene Kuhn, 17 Irita Road, Shrewsbury, Mass. For a special permit to the Town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaw under section 6-B to construct a dormer on an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling upon property located at 17 Irita Road in the Residence B1 district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 20, plot 027000. Is Mr. Kuhn here?
Yes, I am. Good evening, Chairman.
Okay, so you want to tell us what you're doing and
Sure. I think it actually warrants a little bit of a backstory. Back in May, my wife and I suffered an accidental house fire at 17 Irita Road, our first home that we spent about a year working on, and we're really trying to make our future home. Luckily, nobody was injured, and we got out safe, and the fire department did just an amazing job. That being said, the damage to our roof was extensive and is causing us to have to take off, reframe, and rebuild our roof as just a piece of this rebuild process. We found out that we had the ability to change the grade of our rear roof in the reconstruction to allow our small cape in Shrewsbury to sustain a bigger family. We'd like to live and raise children in the town. My wife actually grew up here in Shrewsbury, and her family's been here for over, I think, 20 years. So that's the change. You know, the rear roof is going to have a dormer, which stays within the current footprint of the home, but simply allows us to have some more square footage upstairs. And that was, I guess, in violation of our existing property. We don't have quite enough room in the front. I think you need 30 feet, and we have 26 and a half, and that's how I understand it.
okay. I don't have any questions on this. Again, I'll go through the board. Mr. George, any questions?
None at this time.
Ms. Lynch,
None at this time.
Ms. Cassette,
No, everything provided was sufficient. I have no
Okay.
questions.
Mr. Mulcahy.
Nothing looks fine to me.
Is anyone in attendance here for 17 Irita Road? Wishes to be heard?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would just like to point out that maybe due to time or other circumstances, Mr. Eugene, if you could possibly go back to WDA and get a revised plot plan. We had noted that under the planning department that the plot plan provided was actually incorrect. It was, you needed to reflect Residence A zoning district. Instead, it is being shown to reflect Residence B1 zoning district, which then means that you would also not be conforming to the side yard setback. So I'm just asking you to obviously revise that going forward, because you'll need that when you apply for your building permit.
If that, Mr. Kuhn, that won't affect us making our decision because we know what the setbacks are going to be and what's affected, but it will affect the building inspector being able to give you a permit to build. So you would need to have that updated for the building department.
Now, do you think that the company in which supplied the zoning or the plot plan, do you think that that's something that they'd be willing to do because we didn't understand that previously, or am I going to have to get a new plot plan in your opinion?
Mr. Rudis?
I will personally say I've heard from other surveyors around the area, and one applicant said it to me last month that they were able to get it revised within 30 days, as long as if it was not beyond 30 days. So I would just simply just call out and reach out to them and just simply note that this is, that this is just incorrectly put together, and that it should not be towards your expense because it was incorrectly labeled. Is all I'm trying to note for you. So
There's a, any advice you have about the timing of this thing. My wife is pregnant with our first child, and I actually got put back 40 days to be a part of this meeting today.
Like I said, we're going to vote on your appeal tonight. That doesn't affect. This isn't affecting us. It's what's going to affect for the building inspector.
Sure. All right. Sure.
Since no one in attendance wishes to be heard on this, we will close this hearing and you will be notified of our decision. Mr. George, how do you vote? Oh, wait, sorry. Can I get a motion? Mr. George.
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Cassette,
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next is to hear the appeal of Akihila Sivakuri, 22 Marietta Avenue, Unit 1, Shrewsbury, Mass, for a special permit to the Town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaw under Section 6, Table 1, to construct an in-law apartment in the basement of Unit 1 of the existing duplex upon property located at 22 Marietta Avenue, Unit 1 in the Residence B2 District. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 31, Plot 176000. Is Mr. Sivakuri here?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Dan Berthium. I actually built the property. I have my client right here that bought it. When we built and constructed the current location, there is existing in the basement, a full built-out kitchen, a full bathroom, laundry room, complete with a cooking stove, refrigerator, dishwasher, the whole nine. I did not designate this particular part of the house. It's all by itself in the basement. It's a walkout basement. I didn't designate it an in-law. I wasn't sure of what everybody who bought the place was going to do with it. The client that I have here, he does have a lot of family, both he and his wife overseas. They just wanted to be legally on the up and up and have it designated as an in-law in case they do have some family that comes over for an extended period of time. So we filled out the application, with the assistance of Vedas, and we got everything into you, and we're just here to try and get that approved from you guys.
So to better understand, you're not making any changes. It's already built. It's already there.
Correct.
Okay, and does the applicant know that it can only be used by a blood relative? It cannot be rented. The apartment would sunset with his ownership of the property. So
correct.
If the property, someone else would have to, the next owners would have to come before the board to get it approved.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. George, any questions?
None at this time.
Ms. Lynch, any questions? Okay.
What's going on?
I'm right here, Lisa.
Okay. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but I can't hear anybody out there.
Lisa, I think you might be muted or your
Lisa,
mic.
Okay. You can't hear me? I'm
I
sure.
can hear you, but I can't hear the board member.
What you got?
I turned off the video because, it might be taking a lot of data.
Lisa, I can see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you talking.
It's like watching a walrus. Are we all set now?
I think so.
Can everybody see me okay?
No, we can't see you, Dan, but we can hear you.
How's that? We all right now?
Dan, can you mute, please?
Mute your phone or your microphone. Please try again. Nope, still nothing.
Try logging off and logging back on. Was that the last member, Ron, or was there another one? Did we...
But Lisa should be here to hear if he has any
Yeah,
questions.
she has to hear
Yeah.
you.
And just a reminder to make sure, Ron, you go to the public for each of these.
No, I have been, yeah.
Okay.
Try again, Lisa. Nope. Try phoning in.
Sign language.
You know, this happened to me 2 meetings ago when I kept freezing up, so I feel her pain.
She can also send a chat message, a written question or comment if it's not working.
I think you can hear me now.
Now,
Hey.
yeah, you're good. Okay.
Hear me
There you
now?
are.
Okay, so I did have a question for the appellant. It's been a while, I think, since we had an in-law for a duplex. So I believe this is the duplex. And are you the builder for both sides of the duplex? And are they finished the same way?
Yeah, they're completely finished. They've both been all completely inspected and signed off on. So
Okay.
I'm pretty friendly with both clients that, both the new owners. We did check with the neighbor next door. He was completely okay with it. They both got the identical setup.
Okay.
My client just wanted to be legally covered for like
Okay.
an extended period of time. He's got family here. He just wanted everything done right with the town. That's basically all it is.
And I don't know if the planning department, IDIS, reviewed the egress for this. There's no issues with that. It's a walkout.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 4 different windows. They have a slide with 8-foot door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Access up to the main house, to the garage.
Okay. No
Mr.
questions.
Mosel.
No more questions.
There was also construction plans that either the applicant or the builder had submitted on Friday, Ron. So those were in the comment letter and they have been now in your folders.
Yep. Mr. Mulcahy, any questions?
My only question is, do you expect there to be any additional cars parked associated with the family that stay? And is there enough space in the driveway for that to be off street?
His driveway can accommodate 6 to 8 cars, no problem. And he's also got a 2-car garage. When I build something, we try to do a good job. I mean,
Okay, so plenty of parking. Great.
he does have adequate spot here. And he's at the dead end of Marietta Ave. There's street side parking. Most of the town street does too, but it'll never come to that. Yeah, he's
Okay,
good.
that's all from me.
Okay. Is anyone in attendance wish to be heard on this matter? Please unmute your phone if you are in attendance in the public and wish to be heard on this. Okay, there being no further questions or comments, you'll be notified of our decision. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve?
Can I get a second?
Second?
Mr. George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Before I take further vote, I just, as conditioned that it sunsets with the ownership. It has to be used by a relative. Ms. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Cassette,
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Our next 6:30 hearing is to hear the appeal of James Callahan, 24 Old Lake Road, Shrewsbury, Mass, for a special permit to the town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaw under section 6-B to construct a second floor addition and a porch on an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling upon property located at 24 Old Faith Road in the Residence B2 district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 52, Plot 006000. Is Mr. Callahan here?
I am. Good evening.
Okay, welcome. So before we go, I just want to make sure what I'm looking at. You're basically just going straight up, adding a second floor, not changing any setbacks. Is that correct?
That's correct. The existing lot is non-conforming on the side setbacks,
Right.
but is conforming on front and
Okay, but
back.
you're not bumping out, you're not doing anything to bump out the setbacks or anything.
Correct.
Okay, and then, okay, I have no further questions. Mr. George,
No questions.
Ms. Lynch,
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Cassette,
No, everything was provided. Thank you.
Mr. Mulcahy?
Nothing from me.
Anyone in attendance wish to be heard on 24 Old Faith Road? Anyone wish to be heard? Okay, there being no further questions or comments, we will take it under advisement. You'll be notified of our decision.
Thank you.
Ms. Weber, can I get a motion? Ms. Lynch,
Move to approve?
can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor, Mr. George,
Aye.
Ms. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Cassette,
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy,
Aye.
and the chair also votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Next is to hear the appeal of ZB Construction, 47 Bridge Road, Lancaster, Mass, for a variance to the Town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaw under Section 7, Table 2, to expand an existing deck to within 12 feet of the side property line upon property located at 12 Beth's Road in the Residence A District. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 40, Plot 075-010. Is anyone here representing ZB Construction?
Yes, I am.
Okay, tell us what you're doing, why you're doing it, what's your hardship?
Thanks for having me here tonight. Speaking on behalf of Bridget and Tom Taverna, I believe they are on tonight. And we're looking to just expand and rebuild their existing deck. And they want to expand towards the garage side of the house where there is a exit door that has a set of stairs currently. Both sets of stairs are in disrepair. They would like to connect their deck onto the same plane so that they can link up so they have two different exits off of the deck. Either way they go out the door. The zoning for that area is 20 feet on the side yard. This is a corner lot, so they do not have a backyard setback. And they're looking to go within 10, 12 feet of that setback rather than the 20 feet. So we were looking to encroach about 8 feet into that zone.
Okay. And you're basically just you're expanding the existing deck?
Yep, there's an existing deck out back, about 12 by 20. And there's a set of stairs just going out the other door. And they want to just make one flat plane deck.
Okay. Mr. George, any questions?
None at this time.
Ms. Lynch,
None at this time.
Ms. Cassette?
Yes. So I'm having trouble picturing. So I think you've explained it, but I'm having trouble picturing. I wondered, of course, why the deck couldn't have been extended the other direction to not even come before us. And I do see from the GIS that there is a rather lengthy set of stairs already on that side. So it would mean removing those stairs, of course. But what you explained was that you want to take advantage, I think, of the exit door that already has a set of stairs, and you want to provide two means of egress off the deck. I'm having a really hard time picturing that without any pictures. Sorry. So can you try to explain it?
I have the plot plan here with the basic design. Is there a way to do a screen share? Or?
So we have that too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I can present that to the board if you would like.
Actually, we all have. Does anyone need it to see it on screen?
Well, do you need it to explain?
Well, I'll try to do it as best I can. If you all have it before you, I take it?
Yeah.
Okay. So the existing deck, there's a walkout where it says FD over to the right-hand side. There's a walkout over there, and they want to make that in the future a bigger patio area. Then they don't want the deck on top of it. And then over on the left-hand corner where you see the 21.6 setback, that's where the door is coming out, exiting towards the rear. And the stairs are going towards the, I guess, the north side right now.
So hold on one second. So where I see 21.6.
Yep.
So on that side, there's an exit door.
Yes, on that corner.
From the garage.
I'm not sure if it's directly into the garage, but it's
Okay.
either the garage or a mudroom over on that side.
Okay, and the idea is to connect that with this part of the deck that you want to add.
Yes, they originally wanted to
I
have a larger rectangle, but we decided to not come too close to the property boundary. If we did that, we'd come probably within 5 feet. So we're just going to cut a corner off the deck so that we keep a fair distance away and not encroach too much on the neighbor's property.
And in order to connect that other egress, you have to have the deck be so wide
Correct.
at that point.
We need to make it at least 4 feet wide.
Okay. And am I correct in stating there is already a existing set of stairs coming off the opposite end of the deck?
Yes, there's approximately 13 treads of stairs coming off towards the walkout side of the house, and then on the garage side of the house, there's about 6 steps down, 5 to 6.
So the slopes, yeah.
The grade of the house, yeah, if you can, the grade on the north side, it slopes down pretty drastically. The other side is pretty much mostly flat.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mulcahy?
Yeah, I think the only issue that I'm having is I'm not sure I understand what the hardship is. The statute requires soil, shape, or topography of the land. And it doesn't sound like there's a sort of land-based reason for why it has to be this way as opposed to another way. So if you could speak to that, that would be helpful.
Basically, there's no backyard. It's just 2 side yards that conjoin together. So the topography, I guess, in that sense, we'd have to angle the deck so that we don't go into the side yard, too far into the side yard.
So that, I think, is just sort of a feature of the zoning rules. I mean, it's something that specifically has to do with the land itself for, like Ms. Cosette mentioned, for example, that there's plenty of space to expand the deck on the other side. So if the goal is to have a bigger deck, that would be another option that wouldn't require you to go outside the building envelope. So that's the requirement that we have to have in order to grant a variance.
Yeah, the primary goal they wanted to connect the 2 exits so that they exit onto the same deck and they have access to each set of staircase from whichever way they exit the house.
So maybe the hardship is that this exit is already there in the location that it's in on the structure, and there's no way to connect the 2 decks to have 2 means of egress without going outside the building envelope.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the way I was reading it, but if we want to push for an actual stated hardship, that doesn't hurt.
Does anyone in attendance wish to be heard on this? Anyone in attendance wish to be heard on 12 Beth's Road? Okay, there being no further comments or questions, we will take it under advisement. You will be notified of our decision. Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve?
Can I get a second? Someone? Okay, Mr. George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Cassette?
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next 6:30 hearing is to hear the appeal of Jeffrey L. and Lisa M. Hastings of 67 Bayview Drive, Shrewsbury, Mass. for a special permit to the Town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaw under section 4-B to construct a covered entry addition on an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling within 2 feet from the side lot line upon property located at 67 Bayview Drive in the C2 district. The subject is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 51, plot 069000. Are Mr. or Mrs. Hastings here?
Mr. Chairman, Kevin Quinn with Quinn Engineering. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you please state your name again?
Okay, Kevin Quinn with Quinn Engineering.
Okay. Go
I'm
ahead.
here on behalf of Jeff and Lisa Hastings. They're the owners and applicants for this application.
Okay.
The Hastings proposed to build a 16 by 6 addition to their home on the north side of their home. In the Residence B2 district, the side yard setback is 10 feet. Their existing home is located 9.2 from the north sideline. The addition will be located 6.2 feet from that sideline. So we petitioned the board for a special permit to allow the construction of this addition within that side yard setback. The special permit is based basically on two justifications. The lot slopes very steeply to the rear. It actually drops 26 feet from the house down to the lake. So it's an extremely steep slope, and it's constructing an addition in the rear of the home would be so difficult as to be unfeasible. Secondly, the shape of the parcel itself, the lot is configured as a narrow, deep property. If it were a more regular shape, like more of a rectangle or a square, they'd have no difficulty working with the side yard setbacks. But in this case, they're kind of constrained by the shape of the parcel of the land. If the board sees fit to approve this special permit, it will not derogate from the intent of the bylaw, in that this addition will be an improvement to the neighborhood, and it will not accommodate an increase in the people who live in the home. It won't cause for, it's not like adding a bedroom. There'll be no increase on parking in the area. It's mainly an improvement to the home that will improve the life for the folks who live here. If the board were to, a literal enforcement, I should say, of the bylaw, would present a hardship to the Hardings in that the addition could otherwise not be constructed. If not for the zoning board's consideration, this addition really is not feasible. So we're politely suggesting to the board that the approval of this would be necessary for that addition to take place. Can I answer questions?
Yeah, actually, you went further than you needed to. We don't need a hardship for a special permit. We only need to make sure that the use won't be more intrusive, more intensive than what's there. I have no questions. Mr. George, any questions?
None at this time.
Ms. Lynch?
No further questions, thank you.
Ms. Cassette?
Of course. I'm sorry. So, when I look at the property, it looks like a concrete patio behind all of this, and I'm assuming it's much lower because the property slopes toward the lake.
It is lower, yes.
Okay. And there's also this covered entrance, a doorway that juts out from the property. I'm trying to visualize how the addition will be in line with that, or will that be removed?
If you're standing in Bayview Drive, facing the house,
yeah,
the addition's on the right side, and there is an entrance on the right side. This will expand that entrance, basically to give them an entry into this, so that people can come in and remove their shoes, and there will be stairs as well.
Because what's there right now is just really 3 feet, maybe 3.5 feet. Okay.
Yes.
So can you just help me visualize how much farther out? Oh, actually, you don't have to. I can see the fence that separates this property from 67A.
Yes.
And could you just tell us a little bit about lot 67A next door?
I can. It's basically an empty lot. I don't comment as to the buildability. As I understand it, the neighbors live across the street. That's their access to the lake. There's a walk and stairs that you can walk from Bayview Drive through that parcel down the stairs to the lake.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, I have no questions at this time, no more than that.
Okay, Mr. Mulcahy.
Thought it was a great presentation. If you'd asked for a variance, I would have given you one. Nothing else from me.
Okay, is there anyone in attendance that wishes to be heard on this matter 67 Bayview Drive? Please make yourself known. There being no further questions or comments, we will take this under advisement and you'll be notified of our decision. Thank you.
Excellent.
Uh,
Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, and a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Mr. George,
Aye.
Ms. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Cassette,
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Terrific.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Good night now.
Our next 6:30 hearing is to hear the appeal of Carla Panarelli and Eric Whitney, 242A South Quincy Avenue, Shrewsbury, Mass, for a special permit to the Town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaw under section 4-B, to construct an addition and a garage on the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling upon property located at 242A South Quincy Avenue in the resident B2 districts. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 45, plot 084000. Are Ms. Panarelli or Mr. Putney here?
We're here.
Yeah, both here.
Tell us what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah, so we just moved in mid-June, bought a house, first-time homeowners, happy to be in Shrewsbury. And long story short, we'd just like to add an addition coming away from the lake towards the street. It's a long, slim property, so we're, I believe, just a little 2 feet or so within the setback of the side lot, but just trying to add an addition and a garage onto the front of the lot towards the street away from the lake.
Okay. And you also have a incredibly narrow lot. Don't have any questions, Mr. George? Unmute.
None at this time.
Okay, Ms. Lynch,
None at this time, thank you.
Ms. Cassette,
I actually don't. Everything that you so funny. Everything you provided was enough, and I think it's definitely in keeping with the neighborhood. A lot of other houses are doing the same thing. I think it's great, and welcome to Shrewsbury, and welcome to the zoning board with all my questions.
Nothing for me. Looks great. Thank you.
does anyone in attendance wish to be heard on 242A South Sigmund Avenue?
I would just like to speak, Mr. Chairman.
Say again?
I would just like to present some information that the applicants went and gave me last week.
Sure.
So we had asked them to provide us a lot coverage. They have provided us with that. It is going from 9% to 23% lot coverage and is within the maximum requirement of 30%.
Okay, thank you. There being no further questions or comments, we will take it under advisement and you will be notified of our decision. Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, Mr. George,
Aye.
Ms. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Cassette,
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Welcome to town.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our final 6:30 hearing is to hear the appeal of a new Singular Wireless PPS LLC, AT&T, 750 West Center Street, Suite 301, West Bridgewater, Mass, for a special permit to the Town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaw under Section 6, Table 1, to modify equipment on an existing monopole on property located at 800 Boston Turnpike in the limited industrial district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 35, plot 026000. Is anyone here for New Singular Wireless?
Hi, yes, I'm here, Allison Hebel, with Centerline Communications on behalf of AT&T.
Okay.
So AT&T is just looking to perform modifications to their existing equipment at the cell tower, removing 3 older antennas and replacing them with 3 new antennas. And then they're also going to be installing 3 additional antennas on the tower. There's also going to be the remote radio units, which are the smaller devices that go behind the antennas to increase the signal strength. will be removing 6 of those and installing 12 new ones. And then they will also be installing a new surge protector with the associated cables. They're not changing the height of the tower or the compound. And they will be modifying the mounts that the new antennas are going on, but they're not increasing their area, their leased area, or expanding away from what they already have, aside from the additional antennas. But it's not going to change look-wise, at least.
Okay, so anyone, so it's going to be the same size. Other carriers can co-locate if they work out a deal, I presume.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Can you say that again?
Do other carriers have the right to co-locate on the tower?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So then the other question would be, I'm assuming my cell service would be. Any questions, Mr. George?
That's good.
No, I don't.
Ms. Lynch?
No, thank you.
Ms. Cassett?
No, I have no questions.
And Mr. Mulcahy?
None from me, thank you.
Okay, is anyone in attendance wish to be heard on this matter, 800 Boston Turnpike, regarding modifications to the monopole tower? Please make yourself known if you have any questions. There being no further questions or comments, we will take this under advisement. You'll be notified of our decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
Move to
Move
approve.
to approve.
And I will consider that a second as well. Mr. George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Cassett,
Aye.
Mr. Mulcahy,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Is there, Mr. Rubis, is there any old business or new business?
There is not, unless Bernie, there's something that there is to discuss. I have nothing on my agenda.
No, good reminder though, that we are having an open space and recreation plan update forum next week from 6 to 7:30. That's the 31st. So anyone listening at home who'd like to participate, you can go online to the webpage for that, which is the Open Space and Recreation Plan Update webpage. You can reach it from the planning department website. And it's also all over social media for the town and on the news flash page. So if you wish to join us, you sign up. It's going to be a Zoom remote public forum, so a first for many of us. But it is important to get everyone's voices. So if you are around and you want to spend an hour, hour and a half to give us your feedback about it, would be great. So thank you, everyone.
Okay. And I need one final motion, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second?
I will consider this to pass by acclamation. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.